Hey, what's up, Facebook Live? Showbiz Shelly here, and I am here with violinist Lindsey Stirling. Hi.
Woo-hoo. Hi.
How are you?
I'm so good.
And you also have a friend here, Luna.
I do.
So Facebook Live world.
Here, you guys can see. Oh, she's like, you just woke me up. Everybody say hi to Luna.
Oh my God, she's so cute.
She is the sweetest dog. For all those listening, she's saying hi right now.
So she's like a little chihuahua, is that right?
Yeah.
So, and I feel like normally chihuahuas are so like nervous and they can be really kind of like jumpy, but she's not at all.
She's not at all. She's like an extremely calm, just like if she's with her person, she's happy.
Oh, and that's you.
And that's me. I'm her person.
So cute. How long have you had Luna for?
I've had her for 3 years.
Oh, she's such a
She's
sweetie.
my little travel buddy. She flies with me. She comes on stage during the show.
See, now I don't know that I've seen that. So she comes with you on stage during the show to perform?
Yes,
so
she
like,
does.
What's she doing?
So I just mentioned to the audience that I have a really special person on tour that I haven't thanked yet. I need to bring her out. And everyone's thinking it's like an assistant or something. And then this little tiny dog, she'll walk on stage by herself. And then she has a talent where she can walk on her 2 hind legs like as long as she wants. And she can spin. And so I put her in a tutu last time. We both had matching tutus.
Stop it.
And she comes on and she spins like a ballerina. It's the cutest thing. And she steals the show. It's everybody's favorite part of the night.
Did you teach her to do that?
I did.
Oh my gosh. I love her, Luna. Hi. She's so cute.
So cute. She's looking right at you. She's like I love
ready
you
for
too.
the interview.
Yeah.
So Lindsey, aside from your assistant, you have a lot of other things that you do on stage, obviously, and you have a new single too with Elle King.
Yes.
The Upside. That's huge. Talk about it. It's so good.
Thank you. I'm so excited about this song. I mean, first of all, it's got Elle King on it, which that was like a dream collaboration for me. I've loved Elle for years. And, we've talked about working on different things in the past and it just never worked out. And so to finally be working together on this song was really exciting. And yeah, it's a special song to me because it kind of it's one of the only songs on the album that have lyrics to it. There's only a few. And it just tells a really uplifting, like, positive message. And I think that we need that in music.
I agree. And so obviously, like you said, the thing is you've worked with so many people. Like, I actually became more aware of you when you worked with Derek Huff.
Oh, are you a Dancing with the Stars
fan?
Yes,
I am.
Oh, so good.
Yes, I am. So how do you end up working with these people? And like being a violinist, was it always your intention to kind of be able to do collaborations? Or did you always kind of plan on doing your own thing and then it just sort of happened that way?
I mean, I think it's all just very organically happened. I found my voice as a violinist, I think, through collaborating with different people. Mm-hmm. When I was in college, I just started playing with different bands and like jamming with different musicians, kind of trying to find my passion for music again, because I was a classical musician all growing up and I had gotten kind of burnt out. I was like, well, how can I make this fun and creative? And so I found my little musical soul again by collaborations. I started writing my own music. And so it just seemed like such a natural progression to work with other artists, be it dancers, be it, stylists, or be it other amazing musicians like Elle King.
Yeah. And you have a new album too.
Yes.
So are we going to see a lot more collaborations on there?
There is. Actually, on this album, there's only 2 collaborations.
Okay.
There's Elle King, and then there is Amy Lee, who, oh my gosh, I love Amy Lee. And if I had known when I was like 15 that I would be working with Amy Lee, I would have just absolutely died. I was a diehard Evanescence fan. And, and last summer we got to tour with them, which was a dream come true. I was on their last album. And now to have Amy on my album, it's turned into like a real friendship, which again, just I pinch myself all the time, especially when we would perform on stage together. I was like, what? Who would have thought?
Yeah. And so Artemis, right, is out September 6th.
Yes.
So that's coming up really quick.
I can't believe it. It's so funny when something feels so far away for so long and then suddenly it's like knocking on your door and you're like, oh my gosh, am I ready?
Yeah.
Am I ready for this? But I genuinely am. I love this album and it's been really fun to write this one because it came from, I think, a very different place than any of my previous albums I've written. My last, I would say 2 original albums were written from a place of like a little bit of pain. I was experiencing loss on my last album and that was writing from a really hard place. The previous album before that was Shatter Me, written about like overcoming anorexia, pretty dark place. This one, I was in a great space when I wrote it. And so the music is like comes from that. And I think like, for example, in the Upside, you feel that it's from a very like happy, like just put together place. And it was fun to be able to write something like that until like, and that's why it's called The Upside, because I felt like so long I was just kind of on this little downward, like, oh, when are things going to turn around? And now I feel like it switched and I'm on the upside of the hill.
And you know what I wonder too, because like I have a girlfriend, she played violin in school growing up, and she hated lessons, and she's like, this is so dumb, I hate it, like I don't want to do it, but I feel like you're making it so cool. And do you have kids come up to you and say like, you've inspired me to keep going with violin, or maybe with like the cello or whatever they're playing?
Yes, and that always means so much to me when, like, you know, little kids will come to the concerts and they'll bring their little violins to sign, or adults, like, you know, will bring a violin and be like, I just started the violin a couple months ago because of you. And like, that's, I think, the best form of flattery, if your music or your art inspires someone else to create their own art. And, you know, it's really cool, because when I was a violinist, you know, coming up through high school and junior high.
Did you have those thoughts like, this is so stupid, I don't want to do it? Or you loved it?
No, I thought about quitting, you know, many times along the way. You know, at the core, I was always like, no, I've put way too much effort into this to quit it. But it definitely wasn't cool. And there wasn't a lot out there that made me ever think it could be cool. But I remember in high school, I joined a rock band being like, finally, I feel cool. I got an electric violin and I'd rock out. And I think it was because it was Yellow Card inspired me a lot, because they had this like violinist that would do backflips and stuff. And Sean and I are now friends. Like, he's the best guy ever, you know. So, but it is just funny that, like, I remember just craving for someone to inspire me, and finding it through Sean. You know, so the fact that maybe I'm that for some kids today is like really, really cool and exciting.
That's so cool. And do you have like a dream collaboration, like somebody you just would love to work with?
You know, well, I mean, I've gotten to work with a lot of my bucket list collaborators.
That's cool.
You know, which is so cool. I mean, I've gotten to work with not only Amy Lee and Elle King on this album, but I've worked with Celine Dion and like, you know, different people in different facets. But to be honest, I think the collab I would be the most excited about if I could get would be John Williams, the composer.
Oh,
I grew up listening to, like, I had Greatest Hits, John Williams album, and I would listen to that over and over as a kid, because it's orchestral like scores that speak to my childhood, and I think everybody's childhood. You know, the Harry Potter theme.
I was like, why do I know his name? I was
he wrote the score for Star Wars. You know, so all these iconic films like Indiana Jones, Jaws. Like, he was the voice behind them, and I would just die to someday work with John Williams.
Ooh, put it out there, girl.
I know. Hey, John, if you're listening, I'm a big fan.
How many violins do you have?
I have like I have quite a few. I have 6 that I play on like a regular basis. Okay. You know, that are like I tour with like 5 usually, anywhere from 4 to 5 violins I'll tour with. Everything from a tiny violin that's meant for like a 4-year-old to like these really beautiful like bedazzled electric violins.
Yeah, I saw the one. It's cool in the video. Yeah.
Yeah. I just recently got one made that I'm so excited about. It's for the Artemis theme. Artemis is the goddess of the moon, but she's also the goddess of the hunt. And so this violin that I just got made is a crossbow violin. So it looks really cool. I'm like, oh, the dudes are going to love this one.
Like Hunger Games inspired.
Exactly.
I love it. And last but not least, have you ever had any sort of disaster on stage, like with your violin, like all the strings broke, or like, I don't know, because I'm thinking like, cause it's just you and the violin,
right?
And like, you don't have maybe the luxury of like even, you know, backup singers or like maybe some other artists might. Have you ever had like a real big disaster?
Absolutely. I mean, things happen on stage. I mean, I've dropped my bow before. I dropped my violin once. Like, I was too close to a dancer and she just hit it right out of my hand.
Yeah.
I fell once, you know, but the thing is, though, is as long as no one gets hurt and like the instruments were fine, thankfully, but it shows that it's a live show.
It's real.
It's real. And also, thankfully, I don't play to track. You know, I'm playing everything live. So the violin stops when the bow flies out of my hand. It stops, thankfully, because that would, you know, and that's one of the reasons. But also, just I think part of the fun of a live show is when the performer is performing live and like taking those risks that you know it's not going to be perfect and things happen. And so to me, that's part of the magic. And also, fans love that kind of stuff. They're like, I was at the show where she like dropped her violin or where she got stuck up in the air. Like I was at that show. Like people for some reason love to watch us performers like slightly suffer.
Well, I think just like you said, it's like real and it shows like, you know what, you're a real person like everybody else and real things happen and mistakes.
Totally.
So,
and as long as you kind of like, you know, you might make mention of it later, like, well, as long as I don't drop my violin again, you know, then the audience laughs and it's a very humanizing moment. It's like, yeah, we all make mistakes. We all fall down sometimes and, you know, sometimes in front of several thousand people. Yeah. And that's okay.
That's right. Lindsey, so good to talk to you.
You
again,
too.
The Upside with Elle King and album out September 6th, Artemis. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye, Facebook.
Bye.
Bye, Luna.
Oh, she's up.
She's ready.
She's up. Up.